it comes to manifesting, I bet you've heard the advice, just act as if. Act as if you're the confident version of yourself. Act as if you already have your desire. What if there was a fundamental missing piece than just acting as if? Let's talk about Mental Diets by Neville Goddard. What is a mental diet? Mental diet focuses on the fact that we talk to ourselves more than anyone else. You constantly hear your own voice in your head telling you what to do, what things are next, and maybe oftentimes not so nice things about yourself. Before we get into the mental diet and what's up with this bracelet, here are some facts about thoughts. Researchers estimate that we have around 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. That breaks down to about 2,500 to 3,000 thoughts per hour. Here is where it's getting even wilder. 90% of these thoughts are repetitive and negative. And this is where the mental diet can really help you. Our thoughts create our reality. I'm sure you've heard the sentence before. If you think about it, our thoughts lay the foundation of the life that we're currently experiencing. And if we don't like what we currently have, we have to change it up. Now, when you're going into your manifestation practice and you visualize and you act as if, there is still something in your mind that doesn't really truly believe it. There might be negative self-talk and limiting beliefs. That is one of the missing parts in the manifestation process. Your inner chatter is responsible for what you experience and manifest outside in the 3D world. And I don't say this to be negative or wanting to put you down. A lot of these thoughts are unconscious, and it's normal to have negative thoughts. But let's break it down a little further. A lot of our limiting beliefs and negative self-talk come from childhood, right? Everybody grew up with limiting beliefs. I always like to use the analogy of somebody actually giving you the limiting belief instead of you choosing to think this about yourself. It's usually somebody else's limiting belief that they have, and if it's your caregiver, your parent, whoever brought you up, has not resolved this within themselves, they're going to give it to the next generation. And if you thought about you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough, you don't deserve of the things that other people have and maybe the luxury that you want in your life, it is because your subconscious thought pattern revolves around this negative thought. You don't really believe that you are worthy, even if you might try to tell yourself differently. The thing that has helped me greatly to look at limiting beliefs a little bit from a different side and open my eyes a little wider is that a limiting belief is a truth, not the truth. There can be a truth to it that you might not feel worthy, but what lies beyond that? Like, are you really unworthy? No, you're not. The first step is always to get aware of these limiting beliefs if you're not sure which limiting belief is holding you back. Write them out, and sometimes it's sentences you've heard in your childhood over and over again. Like, you have to hurry up, you have to compete with others. Rich people are greedy, rich people are using their money in not good ways. That's why you have like a subconscious block there that doesn't go away. If you realize that a limiting belief is a truth, not the only truth that is possible, you can work through it. What I like to do is writing out the sentence and find evidence against it. Our brain always goes with the easiest solution. I am sure if your limiting belief is you're not worthy enough, you can tell me 10 reasons why you think you're not worthy enough. But what is one good reason why you're worthy? Find evidence against it. Our brain is always going with the easiest solution. Something that we're trained to think, something that is just there. We don't have to really wreck our brains to think we don't deserve this. Look at it from a different perspective to see that you are worthy. You don't have to do and be anything to be deserving to be worthy. With that out of the way, if you are currently unhappy with the circumstances that life has brought to you, we have to play a different record. The old one isn't serving us, so we need to rewire something in our brains, in our thinking, to switch it up and have a better outcome. Here's an excerpt out of Neville's teaching. It's a book by Rita Faith, who made Neville's teachings really easily digestible. I will link it below. And the book is called Book 1, Inner Talking. A man's mental conversations attract his life. As long as there is no change in his inner talking, the personal history of the man remains the same. To attempt to change the world before we change our inner talking is to struggle against the very nature of things. Man can go round and round in the same circle of disappointments and misfortunes, not seeing them as caused by his own negative inner talking, but as caused by others. The sentence that really stands out to me is, to attempt to change the world before we change our inner talking is to struggle against the very nature of things. Thoughts create our reality. To make it a little bit more approachable, I want to give you an example that I'm sure a lot of people have experienced, and I hope you will let me know that you do the same, because otherwise I feel really silly. Here we go. Have you ever had a negative interaction with another human being, whether it is your boss or your spouse or a part of your life, whether it's job related or just your family environment, and you have had full-on conversations in your head, full-on arguments in your head with this other person, where you think about something they said and you get defensive and you defend yourself and you say things back to them, and it goes back and forth and back and forth. And I catch myself sometimes doing this, not even realizing I'm doing it until a couple of minutes passed. And I'm like, what did I just do? I imagined a whole scenario. What if we can use this and turn it into a power where we feel enlightened and easier at the end instead of having more anger? If it's a boss that constantly is nagging on you and you're like, you're not doing enough, you're behind at work, you're not doing the right thing, you can turn it around and think about, oh, what if they would tell me I did a great job? I exceeded the expectations. My boss is congratulating me on my accomplishments. And that becomes a whole new narrative that is way more positive and doesn't rob you of your energy. I've had this multiple times with my husband. In my head, I have this conversation where I think he acts a certain way and then I have to defend myself for what I'm doing. And it's this mental battle. But instead, if you would focus on a positive outlook, like how would argument go into a different direction? Maybe it's not even an argument. Maybe it's a positive reinforcement and a compliment. It doesn't always have to be the negative way. Okay, so now what's up with the bracelet and how do we use the mental diet? The first step to everything is being aware of the fact that we're doing something. So if you are used to thinking negative things about anything basically, and it relates to your manifestation, let's say you want to go on this luxury dream vacation and you visualize it, you act as if, but the thoughts are going back to, I can't afford this. Like, how is this even supposed to happen? It's so much money. The first step would be to being aware that you have these thoughts. Don't punish yourself for them. I even heard people giving their intrusive thoughts and their intrusive brain a name. So if that helps, try it out. I think once you personify your brain or your intrusive thoughts, that makes it a lot easier to actually have somebody to talk to. Then the next step is to reinforce it with something positive. Switch your negative thoughts to something positive. If that is not easy to do right away, write your negative thoughts down as you encounter them and then replace it with something positive. So when the thought comes again, because we learned that 90% of the thoughts we have are repetitive anyway, thinking positively about this manifestation and you're acting positively, what's in the way? Now onto this very mysterious bracelet. So this is an idea that I just want to give to you. I think it helps to visualize how often we have repetitive processes in our mind. I took this idea from a book I read years ago, and the book is called A Complaint-Free World by Will Bowen. It comes with a little purple rubber band. I'm going to make a different video about this book because it has affected me in the long term and I can't stop thinking about it still. But the premise is that you want to stop complaining and criticizing and gossiping about other people or even yourself, criticizing yourself. The book comes with a purple rubber band and the idea is that you partake in a 21-day challenge. And every time in your inner monologue, you think about somebody else in a bad way, you're criticizing them, you're criticizing yourself, you have to switch your bracelet from one hand to the other, and you have to restart the whole challenge, the 21 days. I don't want to use this in a way of punishment or restarting something. I just want you to use this as a visual exercise. How often, and it's gonna happen so often because it's really tough to break the habit, but with a visualization, like really with a visual key to see how often we think negative thoughts. So every time you have a negative thought correlating with your manifestation, what you're trying to manifest, you're going to switch this bracelet to the other hand. And what it does is technically stopping the act of thinking negatively. You can also say stop, or as I said, give your brain a name, and then think about something positive. Try it out, maybe for 7 days. You don't have to do like a whole 21-day challenge. And the last part of how you can use the mental diet is that you need to focus on the now. We need to rewire our brain with positivity, and it's gonna take a while. Don't expect it to happen overnight. Focus on the now, even if you don't see the results right away. Keep showing up, changing the negative thoughts into positive ones, and the results will show up too. Here's a playlist of all the manifestation tools I use and love. Give it a watch. I'm so thankful you're here. Go and be your favorite self. I'll see you soon.